Hi guys, Heather here from Creative Kiwi. Now this design has been very much requested. If you know my designs, you'll know I've got a couple of wreaths on the site at the moment, but I've been asked so many times just to do a plain one, a base. It's like a base wreath. So this is what we've come up with. So it's just all leaves. For the video I did 8 different fabrics, front and back. So that's the front and back of that design. So it's completely reversible. Not sure I quite like all the multicolours. I prefer these ones here. I've got the white one I did, which is actually 2 shades of white, not that you can tell, and the green fabric is the back of that. So you could have 2 for the price of 1 with that design. Now, while this is obviously meant to be a wreath that you hang on the wall, you can see there on the right-hand side, I'm going to use the white one as the centrepiece for Christmas Day because we've got good old white and silver centre. Now, I guess the whole idea of the design, the wreath, is that you add onto it. So I've actually included the designs showing there, the large centre, the large bell. Now, they're some of our older designs, but I have actually included it in the design file if you don't already have it. And we've got the mistletoe. So you can make that actual wreath completely with this one design file. But not just limited to Christmas. I've just got, and these were just designs I had hanging around. You could put some of our large animals, and then I've got some Halloween stuff, the happy birthday stuff. And they're all just designs that are all made in the 5x7 hoop. So you could make whatever you like with this wreath. It's definitely a design that you sort of add your own creativity to, and you could use it again and again for different seasons. So anyway, I can't wait to see what you come up with, but let's get on with how you make this. So this video is for the 5x7 size, so it's done in 8 hoopings in your 5x7 hoop. I have included in the written instructions how you can make it in an 8x12 hoop, and that's just 4 hoopings. But same techniques, but this one just starts with the 5x7 size. Okay, so for the first 5x7 one, I used 8 different fabrics, and because I made it completely reversible, you just need 2 pieces for front and back. Now I use fusible fleece is what I use as my batting. You need that. Now to make it stronger, I've used bag batting. Another alternative would be, I think it's called Timatex, the same sort of thing. It's a just to add strength, or a heavy felt. You can see there I've got, thank you Mary, an idea from Mary. She made our full wreath and added a dollar store wreath wire. You could use an embroidery hoop or starch, but I've found with the bag batting and just the fabrics is strong enough. So you just have to have a play. Now, the type of stabilizer you need to use for this design is the wash away stabilizer, and this is so you can remove all traces of it at the end. And it's a fabric type, it's not the plastic solvay, it's definitely got to be the fabric type and 2 layers. And just to make sure there is no movement in the hoop, we use the pinning method. You can see I'm doing it there. And I get asked if you can use other sorts of stabilizer. Tear away, I think you find that the satin stitch would tear away, so I wouldn't be too keen on doing that. Cut away, you can't really remove all the traces of it from the edge, so if you can, use your water soluble. Anyway, we're getting onto it here. So the first thing you do is load your first file, and you're just going to stitch the outline of the first leaf. Now these steps I'm showing you is exactly the same for every leaf, so we'll just go through it. Now for the first one, I thought it might be the best idea to put the hanging tab on first, otherwise we'll forget it because I do that all the time. But you can see there I've just taped the hanging tab in place just outside the stitch line. Now I'm just adding my fusible fleece or batting, just taping that in place, and back to the machine, and you just stitch your outline again, and that's just to attach the batting. So we take it off the machine, the hoop off the machine, and what we're going to do is just cut away the excess batting. Just at this point, it just helps the bulk, remove the bulk from the seams, and it seems to be easier for trimming, making it the trim nice, which helps with the joining. As I say, we do this for every leaf. Right, now this is how you put the backing on. So there I've got my layer of bag batting and I've got my fabric with the right side facing up because it's going to be the back of the leaf. We're just going to tape that in place, turn it over, and we're going to put the front fabric on. Back to the machine, and we're just going to attach those fabrics. Now it's just going to stitch around that outline twice to give you a nice cutting edge. And again, we remove the hoop from the machine, and we're just going to cut away all that excess fabric on the front and back of the design. Use your sharper scissors. I go between these dressmaking scissors and I think we've got some duckbill scissors from Echidna that I like using. But just use whatever scissors you have that are the sharpest and that suit you. There's no right or wrong. So we've cut that fabric away on the back of the hoop, and now we're doing it again on the front. And I kind of get into a habit of doing the back fabric first because it's so easy just to cut away the fabric on the front and forget. So there's the front and there's the back. And now we're back at the machine, and it's just going to stitch that inner detail. Now because it's reversible, I have used matching bobbin thread from this point onwards. And there you can see it's raced around and it's done the satin stitch edges. So we remove that from the hoop, and now we're just going to cut away the excess water soluble stabilizer. Now there's the two raw edges there that you can see. Cut them as close as you can. That does help you for when you're doing your joins because they're the two places that you will join. And when just with the rest of it, where the satin stitches, you can just cut close. But there, you can see there, I'm just trying to get in a little bit closer to that stitch line. Just makes it easier later. And that's your first leaf. Now they're all the same. This one we've got file 2. Again, we've hooped our stabilizer and we're just going to stitch the outline of the leaf. Now this time I'm just going to show you, this is how I do it on the smaller hoops anyway, is just place my batting on the top. Because I'm not adding a hanging tab at this point, you can just place it on top or use tape, whatever suits you. Again, we're just going to take the hoop from the machine and we're just going to cut away that excess batting to give you a nice edge. Now, this video is just to show you the techniques that we use. When you get the design file, there's full photo instructions, and that gives you cutting sizes and just a bit more detail. This just is to show you the techniques that we use. So just as before, we're going to put our backing fabric on. Now you can do it this way, which is, as I did before, which is tape it all on the back of the hoop. Or this is how I do it mostly. So same thing, I've got my fabric and my bag batting, and I'm just floating it under the hoop. And I do that here because you can actually see through the stabilizer and you can make sure that it's completely covered and it's in the right place. But it's completely up to you. You can tape it on the back or you can float. It's whatever is easiest for you. And here I go again. I'm just floating that top fabric. Now, if I was doing this in the larger hoops, I probably would tape. But I just find with the smaller hoops, you can do it without taping. Personal preference. So just as before, it's stitching around a double outline to make it easier for cutting. And there you go, we remove it from the hoop again, and we're going to cut away the fabric on the front and the back. It may not seem it, but I did try to make the leaves a little less curvy. So to make it easier to do all this cutting, I know we've got some lovely, our free leaf coaster is lovely, but it does take a wee bit of time cutting. So I did, say, try to make an attempt of making it more curvier, so it's not so hard to cut the excess fabric away. So there we go again. Now we take it back to the machine. Now this time we've changed the bobbin thread so it's the same, and it's just going to do a zigzag, and it's going to zigzag the left hand side there. Then it's going to do a straight stitch along the top because that's where we're going to join the other leaf. Then a zigzag back down to the right hand side and leave a gap. And this is now we're going to do our first join. So you can see there'll be a join there, one half of the reef, and there'll be a join there. And it's always, we try and do it on the bottom of the hoop. So there you get your first leaf. And like a jigsaw, you just fit it in there, and you're matching stitch line on stitch line. So there is a slight overlap. And you can see I'm taping it there in place just to make sure there's no movement. I'm going to put one in the middle, but I do not like stitching over tape, so I'm sure I will move it. Anyway, we've got it back at the machine and we're doing that joining stitch. Now this is just a zigzag, but feel free to slow your machine down or to start and stop, just whatever feels good for you. And you can see there I stopped the machine to remove that piece of tape. It's just, I don't like stitching over tape. So we're just going to start that back up again. And as I say, it's just a zigzag stitch to join the two pieces together. Now you can see here, I'm just trying to show you, you just need to make sure that both pieces of fabric are actually caught in that zigzag. If they're not, you're going to have to redo it. Otherwise, like there, it's okay. So I'm just going to carry on. Now it's just one more colour on the on your embroidery machine, and so that is the inner detail, and then it goes straight through and does the satin stitch edge and just leaves that gap at the top. Now that's it, that's the second one done. Do the same thing again. You're just going to cut away the excess stabilizer. And again, just you'll find there's that one raw edge at the top. Just take a little bit more time with that bit. Get it as close as you can because that's where we're going to join to the next one. Number 2. Now, say they're all the same. So basically, load your file number 3 and then do your stabilizer, backing fabric, front fabric, cut them all away. And we've done that zigzag. And now we're going to do our third leaf, and it's the same as before. So you're just putting your completed part against the current piece and taping it in place. We're back at the machine, and again it's that zigzag stitch to join them. Just have a little check to make sure you're happy with it. Now, if you're new to the style of design, it just takes a bit of practice, but you do get used to it and you do get faster. And so it's a zigzag stitch, so as long as you get that, you're fine. And there you go, off to that last colour again, which again just stitches the detail on the satin stitch edge. And you're just going to do that another 4 times. So I'm not videoing it, or I haven't shown it on the video. So there you've got file 3. The brown leaf is file 4, and you've added the 3 others to it. And then file 5 is the green leaf on the left. You've added the 4 to it. You've got the file 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 is the darker file. And then file 7 there, you've got the khaki green leaf, and you've added all the previous ones to it. So it's exactly the same steps. So file 8 is slightly different because we've got 2 joins. So again, you do everything as before until you get it so that there's no excess fabric, and then you do the colour 4, which is your zigzag. Now this time we're going to join at the top. So we're going to join the first piece, the one with that's got the hanging tab. We're going to join that first. So again, exactly the same steps. You're going to do stitch line on stitch line, and sort of like the jigsaw puzzle. Make sure it fits in nicely. Tape it all down. Back to the machine. So we've still only just got that one join at the moment. So even though it's the last leaf, we're joining the top one first. Now, because mine's got the stiffening in it, it's actually coming up against the edge, so it does get a bit tricky at this point, but you're so close to the end. Now check you've got that join. That's joined fine. Oops, got a stray piece of thread. Now you just carry on doing the next colour, or the next step, which is just going to continue that zigzag. So it's going to zigzag back down along that right hand edge. And I'm sure you know where it's going to stop. It's going to stop where you're going to join the next piece. There we go. Okay, so we take the hoop from the machine again. That's the top part of the wreath joined. And now we're just going to do the bottom, which is exactly the same as all the others you've done. Now I'm trying to fit it all in a small area here, so it's quite hard. But same thing, just going to do that. Now I think I just realised I hadn't cut that close enough, so I've just recut on that edge, and you can do that anytime, and I should have cut that top piece of stabiliser too. That's sticking out there. But anyway, we've got that neater. Stitch line upon stitch line, like a jigsaw. Tape it in. Back to your machine for the last join. Yeah, because it's going up against the side of the machine here, but it's fine. And so we've got the join, and now last colour goes back off and does that leaf detail again, and then the satin stitch, and it's done. So there are, 8 hoopings is a fair amount, but they're very quick files. It's just really the one colour, and you've just got the construction to get them together. There we go, there's our wreath. Last time, we're just going to remove that stabiliser. And now just using hot water and a Q-tip, you can now go around and remove all traces of that stabiliser on the edges. Now, if you're going to have this outside or use it as a table centre where it might get wet, you'd be best to put this in the wash. That way you can remove all traces of stabiliser and there'll be no shrinking. But if it's just going to hang on the wall, not get wet, then just leave it as it is. So there we go. The white one I did in the 8x10 hoop, so it's 4 hoopings, so slightly quicker, I guess, but still ends up the 18 inches the same as before. And as I say, I've included the large centre, the bell and the mistletoe in the design file, and they are all 5x7 files too. So you can definitely make this entire 18-inch wreath with those 3 designs showing on the left in your 5x7 hoop. I always say it, but I really can't wait to see what you guys do, because I know you're a lot more creative than I am most times. Please join our Facebook group, and that way you can add your photos and also see what everybody else does, because it is quite amazing, the creativity of this group. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.